What's up guys, got a Bull here, doing something a little different today. I'm going to be just kind of doing a basic little low Kindred guide, because disclaimer, I'm gold, so I'm not an actual, some good player, but I know a lot of people who are my friends list who try to play Kindred and stuff are stuck in, bronze and silver, and they ask, they always ask me why do they feel so weak in Kindred, because with a lot of the nerfs and stuff, Kindred's not a bad champion right now, or by any means or anything, it's just people aren't used to playing them compared to back when they were really, really broken. But for masteries, these are the pages I go with. It's 18012 with Fervor of Battle as my keystone. And these are just the sides that I choose for the things. You can switch out. You can switch out natural talent for vampirism or tough skin for explorer. Those don't really matter all too much. Sometimes I feel like explorer might be a little bit better, depending on just if you're trying to catch people and the enemy team's not really good at damaging you. Another rune page you can go with is Strength of the Ages if you're in a really bad matchup, which is champions like, for me, in my opinion, things like Vi and Lee and stuff that can just out-pressure you, and Gragas, things that can kick you out of your ult and stuff. This is a rune page that kind of helps because it gives you a bit more health, so, and survivability for it. But for the most part, I just use the Fervor page. Rarely do I use the Strength of the Ages page, because a lot of times being in silver and gold, the Lee player is not a great Lee player. The only main threat is if you do need to ult, and they haven't used their ult yet, they can just straight kick you out of your ult and kill you. But for runes, the rune page I use is this. I prefer armor pen runes. The main reason to this is because you don't really need much AD, seeing as when you play Kindred, you should be getting your marks. That should be your goal. So you don't really, your marks give you percent health, maximum health damage, and your E also has percent maximum health damage, and you auto attack a lot. So it's done as physical damage. So as long as you have armor pen, you kind of cut out the fact that their armor would be blocking some of that damage. So I prefer armor pen marks with attack speed quintessence. Armor seals, because after the last nerf where they removed Kindred's heal and took away 7 armor, you feel a lot more squishy when you're actually fighting somebody. So the 9 armor from the runes helps quite a bit. Now the glyphs, I don't really have optimized or anything. I just have a bunch of CDR stuff. I have 4 scaling CDR or no, 5 scaling CDR and then 4 normal CDR, which obviously could be changed because that just gives me a random amount of CDR. Gives me 12% CDR at level 18, which you can put magic resist glyphs in there, which wouldn't really hurt too much. I just like it for the early. Well, actually, I don't even. It's not great early game. It's just maybe 5% CDR early game, which I guess helps have your W up a little bit more often. So it's okay. The glyphs could be optimized better. You could put scaling magic resist or something in there, and just keep maybe 5% CDR from normal cooldown reduction runes, or you could use the scaling ones for later. The main ones I would recommend, though, is just the armor pen marks and the seals of armor. You could put scaling health there, too, but I feel like you're too squishy with the seal of armor. But yeah, so that's it for the runes and masteries. I can show you my item set, too. For Kindred, these are the starting items I recommend. They help. For items rush, not really the warrior. This is just kind of an old rune page when I was testing stuff, and the hunter's potion is normally only good if you are needed if you get set behind early and get evaded or killed early. For the boots, I normally recommend Berserker Greaves, but for matchups where again you're chasing somebody down, boots of swiftness can help, or if you're playing against somebody like in a Moo or something with a lot of stuns, Merc Treads are also very good. The main thing I can say, though, is always get Blood Razor and pretty much almost always get a Hurricane in a game. Those are the 2 things that I recommend the most. As for the other items, you can go with Black Cleaver, Maw, the Lord Dominic's Guard, stuff like that. All Mercurial Scimitar too, if they have a lot of CC. All this stuff helps. It's just it's kind of more situational. What you buy, Wit's End can help depending if they have a lot of AP and you don't want to go Hurricane. So you can get some magic resist and attack speed, plus more on hit effects. All this stuff is really all you need to get. But yeah, so I'm going to cut back in now in a minute with the actual my jungle pathing, how I go about things, and just overall, yeah, how I do it. And we're back. This is just something I felt like adding, honestly, because it's easier to show. So I'm going to show you the basic, kind of the basic maps with paint really quick of my basic starts before I show you actually in game, because I won't have a leash or anything in game because I'll just be doing a custom game. But normally, your normal starting paths are obviously you start Gromp most of the time, unless you have a bot lane who doesn't want to start the camp, then which they won't be able to do starting the next patch, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, you start Gromp, and normally with the leash you can smite this, or you don't have to smite it. You want to hopefully get it done before your W is done, which your W normally kind of, I guess your W would probably go out, kind of out here. And then you want to Q and have your Q hit the blue buff as soon as the Gromp's done. This is terrible drawing, but so you want to go from Gromp to here, and you want your Q from your W to go off and hit the blue buff before it expires. That way it gets the reset and has half the cooldown, so you can Q more often while killing the blue buff. And as soon as blue buff's done, you cut it around. You want to go down to your wolves. Or same with here, you just go here. You don't get the Q reset when you start bot to here. And then you want to be done with these camps by 1:30. You want to have your third camp done by 1:30. And then your first mark, or not 1:30, 2:30. Your first mark's going to spawn at 2:30. Your first mark either spawns here, here, or here. Now, if your first mark spawns here, the main issue with it is, depending on who you're jungling against, if you say you're not going to get Kindred for one and you get low, then you probably won't be healthy enough to go here. So depending on who the jungler is, like say you're jungling against Lee or somebody you're not comfortable with going against early, do not go for this camp. It is not worth it if you're not confident or you're not healthy enough to go for it. Instead, after the third camp, if the mark spawns up here at the Raptors, you can either just go from your third camp to gank, or you can just pretty much go from here to gank. Either mid, or you could go top or bot, depending how pushed they are, but normally they're not really that pushed by that amount of time. But you could. I prefer ganking mid if I can, or I do a full clear. But this should be around 2:30 to 2:40 at the latest. Alright, now I'm going to show you a different thing, so give me 1 second so I can just clear all this stuff really quick. I have no clue how to actually clear everything in paint. Alright, now let's say you're jungling against something like, say, a Shaco, or something like that. Something that invades you early, maybe a Lee Sin, which some of them do invade you early. And this will be the standard clear probably next season too. You start at your red, and then you can either go to your Raptors, or your wolves. Normally what I do when I start against somebody who I know is going to invade, I'll start my red, and then I'll go straight to wolves, and then blue camp, then you have your 3 camps, and then you either go for the marks that spawn here, here, or here. Again, if you're jungling against somebody who, for one, has Ignite, like a Shaco or an Evelyn, or somebody you're not comfortable with, do not go for this mark, and prioritize these two, or after this, you can go top lane and try to gank, or you can go around the back way and try to gank, or you can go mid. That's my preferred way for, like, early invade junglers. You could also clear your Gromp and then go back down, but I honestly prefer to try to get an early advantage if I have to start off awkward. That's my preferred way of starting. So, thank you for watching this part. Now I'll actually bring it to the in-game part and show you the rest. And here we are, we're back with the actual in-game clear now. I'm starting a little bit late, so I'll start out, yeah. But this is how you'd start the clear if you didn't have a leash or something. I prefer starting Gromp, smite it first, use your W. Now normally what I'd recommend doing is you would actually have somebody leashing you. So it goes a bit faster than this. But normally what you'd want to do is you'd use your W at the start, and you can smite it up to you. You'd hope the camp, your aim is to kill the camp before your W ends, so whenever your W, you'd still have your W up, say, around here. And whenever you kill the camp, you'd want to jump and Q to the buff, so you get the first reset from the previous W. That way, whenever your W comes back up, you would be able to Q probably one more time before your W came back up, and then you'd have resets from your W again, because your W cuts your Q time, your Q's recharge time pretty much in half at the start of the game. So that's the most optimal way to go from your first camp to your blue buff, or your buff in well, yeah, your blue buff. You normally wouldn't have your W up when you're doing Krugs. Then you would just go straight down to your wolves. And how I normally like to start it is auto Q W, and then just every time you're gonna Q, make sure you auto first, then Q, because it resets your auto again. And then you just keep doing it like this. And by this time, normally you want to have your third camp done by around 3:30 to 3:40 at the latest. And use a sip of your potion to get yourself kind of towards full health. And if the, like I was showing you in the paint with the camp spawn, if you're confident, you can go for the mark that spawns over here in the enemy jungle, although it's not recommended to do. So, that's something that's up to you. It's honestly your choice whether or not you want to go this. If it spawns here and you decide to go for it, just do it like how I did. Just pot up, go get your mark. Normally you could smite it if you feel the need to, or if you have smite up, it's up to you. Then you can, from here you can pot up again and you can either gank mid, like I was showing you in the paint, or you could just not really. You can go back to jungling. You could possibly cut them off at their red, possibly not. It's up to you how you play that part. But if, let's say your mark did spawn in the enemy jungle and you weren't confident to go for it, I would not recommend going to the scuttle. I would recommend just going to do a full clear then, and just start by attacking the little wraith, then Q, and W at the same time, and normally Wolf will do the last hit on one of the little wraiths, which takes out one of them. That means your Q would then attack all three of the remaining creeps, so it normally clears out, or almost fully clears out, the little wraiths while you're doing it. And just keep progressively moving down. When you're doing red buff's harder to kite. So you just kind of keep away from red buff with your W and just keep using the reset. If you want, you can also use the animation cancel, which I'll show you at the next camp, which is not really all that optimal or useful, honestly, in a lot of cases. For the animation camps though, get next to a thick wall like this, attack the camp, Q, and then keep your mouse back on the thickest part of the wall, and then whenever you animation, it will cancel the animation but do the damage. It has to be a thick wall though. And that's how you do the animation cancel. That's not really all that useful though. And now I'll show you some other tricks for this. I'm not really good at the trick where you can like kind of get the wolf to go over the dragon pit. I'm not sure if that was actually ever even patched because I just never got good enough to really do it. But if it does still work, you would walk all the way up. You'd come right here, walk all the way up to this thing, and you would W. And if you did it appropriately, it could go over the wall. I'm not sure if that one's patched, so that information might not be very useful. But I'm going to show you another trick right now that actually kind of helps, which a lot of people don't know, is, so say you want to attack this camp, and you are right here. If you were right here and you were to kind of, how do I do this, like Q like that, you would attack the camp, which that's nice and all. But sometimes it doesn't attack the camp, which I'll show you here as soon as the camp resets. Alright, now once the camp resets, there you go. But then there's times where you'd want to attack the camp and you just kind of Q like that and you don't attack the camp. Turns out there's a trick for that, and normally the trick for that is, it's because the vision refreshes as you're jumping, so if you can't see them while you're pretty much over the jump, you can't attack them. But if you walk kind of directly into the wall like this and then Q, the vision normally goes far enough to attack the camps as you're jumping over, which is a really nice and useful whenever you're trying to kind of speed up clears or you're coming back from a base, just things like that in general. There's also a lot of other tricks with your jump that you can do that some people don't know, like this wall, you can jump over this wall. You just kind of go up to it right here and then vice versa. I'll show you the other side. This jumping, it seems from the outside, is a bit harder, but you just do it like that. Another wall jump you can do is right here on this small part for kiting the blue buff, which is nice sometimes, is you can jump over that part right there. So it's a good way to kind of, you can bring the blue buff around here, and then once it gets kind of right here about to attack you, you just kind of Q over the wall and keep going. It helps a lot. Another wall you can jump over is right here behind the Gromp. Say somebody, an AD carry, doesn't see you and they're pushing right here. A good way to sneak up on them is you just jump over the wall like that and attack them that way. You can also sometimes, doing it from the outside kind of is a bit harder for me sometimes, but it's still doable. This wall, I'm pretty sure you can jump over it. It's just sometimes that wall seems thicker than most walls, so I'm pretty sure it just depends on the part of the wall you try to jump over. kind of like that right there is how the spot you would probably want to jump over. You can obviously you can jump over these walls right here to get out, like that. You can jump over the Baron Pit and the Dragon Pit's wall, but for the Baron Pit you have to stand right around here, because if you go up to the thicker part of the wall, kind of over here, you shouldn't be able to jump over it normally, or maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is spot, yeah, right there. You can't jump over the thicker part of the wall, which can be annoying sometimes. Now the red buff wall, you can jump over this wall, although I can never manage to do this. It's one of like the harder jumps for it, which could probably help you some, but I'm pretty sure there's a spot that you can jump over with this wall. It's just not easy to do. And it may only be on one side of the map, which I'm not sure about. But yeah, that's a jump I can never manage to do, but I'm pretty sure there is a way to do it. It might only be from one side of the wall or one side of the map. Yeah, it's a buff. That's jump I can never manage to pull off. But maybe you can't do it anymore, or maybe I'm just bad. I don't know. You can jump over the Raptor's wall right here. You can jump over these walls right there. You can also jump over the Raptor wall right here on this side. Not like that, obviously, but just kind of put your back against the wall or some, and don't fail like I did just 2 times, and just kind of walk up to the wall. Wow, why can I not jump over this wall? I know you can. There you go. I don't know why I couldn't jump over it 2 times. Kind of a little fail. The same for the Baron Pit goes with the Dragon Pit. You can't jump over the thicker part of the wall, but you can jump over the smaller part. You can jump over the Raptors, all that part. All that stuff remains the same. Jump over that Krug wall. You can jump over pretty much this entire wall. Just kind of come over here, say somebody's trying to chase you or you're trying to cut somebody off, just jump over that wall.
The weft and weave of
Another good thing you can do is normally you can for the most part, juke a wolf spirit by normally if the wolf spirit's over there, if you jump over this wall and run to the bush, it might still ping you, but it normally doesn't follow you or spot you, because it doesn't come to this tri-bush for some reason, which I think it should, but it doesn't. This is another way to juke the wall. For the wolf camp, you can jump over this part of the wall and this part of the wall. I'm pretty sure I showed that. Just come over here, get next to the wall, Q, and jump over. Same with the blue side on this side of the map. You just kind of got to get in between the tree right here and then just Q. And that's pretty much the basics of mostly what you can do. So, see, this is probably one of the spots that looks like it's harder to jump over this side of the ground wall, because the wall looks really thick right here. So it's not the easiest thing to do to jump over this on this side of the map because of the way it looks, and the positioning's a lot harder to do. I honestly don't even, I'm not even sure what the great positioning for this is. But yeah, I guess kind of like right there between the lily pads and stuff. Or not lily pads, fungus. And now for your ult, times to use the ult would be like, say in a Moo bandage something on your team, or you see a Yasuo tornado or something coming towards your team, which you normally see in low elo, which you don't, sometimes I guess you wouldn't see in higher elo, like things like a Moo. If you see him bandage towards your team and you're both 6, odds are, as soon as you see somebody get hit by the bandage and there's more than one person around, just preemptively ult on that person. That way, if he ults on top of you and stuns you all, they can't just instantly one-shot you while you're all stunned and you have a chance to either fight back or disengage because you can't be killed for a minute. Those are like the basic tips for me. Another thing is like if you're just fighting or you just see somebody's gonna stun you or something, obviously just preemptively ult in a fight, or you think you can normally beat somebody with like the last hits, just ult kind of in the middle of the fight if you're 1v1ing. And save your cooldowns for as soon as your ult ends. You can either time it with the sound or just get used to how long it's gonna last. And as soon as your ult ends, like as the animation's ending, Q. That way your damage goes off right as soon as it ends. And then normally, if the Q doesn't kill him, you could just do one more auto. You should always prioritize your marks. Like whenever you're ganking somebody and mark somebody, it takes like 6 to 8 seconds for it to change the mark, so if you're gonna gank somebody, be ready, but sometimes you won't get it because the mark didn't change. And those are just honestly the basic tips for this. Just always prioritize your marks, mark people, and you should be good, really. Just always auto, then Q. Use your E on mainly champions. E is not the greatest for farming, but I mean you can use it for farming. Your E does percent health damage, and use your ult mainly to save either your team preemptively prevent CC and like one-shots, stuff like that. But yeah, those are the basic tips and wall jumps and all that stuff for Kindred. Thanks for watching. I actually forgot one thing, so before I go, I'm going to also mention this. Kindred has a really good early Baron take and stuff, so once you're level 6, just jump in the pit, use your Qs to, once you should either be close to your Blood Razor or have a Blood Razor by now, just jump in the pit, Q it, and once it gets low, then use your E, because it does percent max health damage, so it's a really good tool for picking it off early. And even with like 2 marks and stuff, you can really easily take an early dragon. You can even dragon at level 5, but you have to be full health and hope that jungler doesn't see you or nothing hits you, other than the dragon. But yeah, that's the last little tip, is use your really early objective taking ability to your advantage. That's the best tip I can give you. Now, thank you for watching. That should be all I forgot. And good luck with Kindred.